So, with the Halloween season going strong, we're 10 days left, and I'm not ready for the end of Halloween and the start of the holidays. I'm just not ready for it. I'm just not emotionally ready for it. Why is it that October always feels like it comes and goes so fast? Oh well. But I did have a fun idea for a video, which is the one you're watching right now. And that is basically, what movies would you want, are basically what movies, entry-level horror movies, are good for kids. Now, you may be thinking there's no horror movies out there that are good entry-level. They just gotta wait and get older, or, you gotta be like the cool parent or the cool uncle to sneak the horror movies to kids, or you're just cool with taking your kid to an R-rated movie. And if you do that, then you're responsible for the nightmares that ensue, or the trauma. That's on you. Anyway, I thought it'd be kind of cool to compile a list of horror movies that would be good enough, horror movies / spooky movies to kind of get your kids used to horror and get it more like if you're a parent and you want to share horror movies with your kids, I think these movies especially. Now, I'm not talking like Nightmare Before Christmas or stuff like that. That's like spooky stuff you can get for Halloween. That would be all fun for Halloween for them. I'm talking like if you want your kids to start watching horror movies, then these are the ones I feel like these would be the most acceptable. Now disclaimer is I'm not a parent. I'm just a guy who really enjoys horror movies. I'd like to be a parent, but that's not the case. So that's the thing, is that this series will basically focus on, this video will basically focus on like what movies I think. Now, I'm always excited to hear what you guys say in the comments, so please let me know in the comments below what horror movies you think are good for kids. So let's get started with the movie I think is best for entry-level horror movie or scary movie, and that is Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters, you say? But Ghostbusters isn't scary. Au contraire. It actually does have some legit jump scares. Of course, the librarian, Zool, when we first see him, it's some intense stuff as a kid. Now, it's a little tame comparatively speaking, but it's generally a comedy movie, and that's kind of the thing, is that always ease in with the horror, with the laughs and the horror. If your kid can handle Nightmare Before Christmas, then Ghostbusters is the next step. Ghostbusters, I think, is the best one. The second best one, and this is one for Christmas, Gremlins. Absolutely 100%, I believe Gremlins is one of the best horror movies for kids, because it's intense, but it's not like overtly violent. It's not like overt in its violence. It's scary, like there's some legit creepy moments, but again, the comedy balances out perfectly with the horror. That's kind of what some of these entry levels are. That's kind of the thing, is that it really does focus on that. It really focuses on the comedy, then you get some scary scenes. If they can handle those, then we move on to a little more heavier stuff. What I mean? The Gate. If you guys remember the Canadian movie The Gate, yeah, this is where we get a little more intense, and this is where we start to look at, movies that you think you can handle with your kids, because there is some straight up scary shit in there in The Gate, like the parents, like the demon parents coming in, was like, "You've been naughty," and you have to like rip the face off, all the slime comes out. Yeah, this is where we start to get a little more intense with it. Speaking of, I believe this is one, and I can tell you it from experience, having a younger sister. This would also work. Krampus. Krampus definitely is PG-13 horror, but it's very much like intense PG-13 horror, and this is something for your kids that this is something a little more. It's violent, but it's not like overtly bloody violent. It's pretty intense. And I can tell you that this is a good entry-level movie, because this was one of the first scary movies I showed my baby sister. So I can tell you from experience, and she loved it. She absolutely loved Krampus. She does love spooky stuff. Then again, this is the same kid who somehow got to watch It. whatever. But yeah, if you're looking for like something a little more intense, but still you could consider child-friendly, Krampus is definitely the way to go. In that category, I would also put Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark is a film that has this level of intensity, and there's some graphic stuff in there, but it's not like R-rated graphic. It's PG-13, like, ugh. Like the kid becoming the Scarecrow, like throwing up the hay and like it wrapping around him. It's some really intense shit. I do think that would definitely like be another like, here you go, kid. This ought to, this will make your bull run. So that's one. I think that would definitely be one. Now, as for another, now we're getting to a little more, this is more intense, and again, I can tell you that this works, because this movie definitely, absolutely is something I experimented with again, the baby sister. And that is Jaws. Jaws, you could make the argument that it is also like a first here, but honestly, I think it is this is where we get to experiment with actual blood and violence. This is where we get to see, like, and you have to tell your kid, all right, kid, there's going to be some bloody shit in here, and also, if they can handle the jump scare, and you know the one I'm talking about, if they can handle that jump scare, then it'd be like, good job, kiddo. That's when you know they're like, it's one of the early signs that they are essentially ready to brave whatever else is thrown at them. Like, that's another clear sign that it's like, it is time. I would say definitely that Jaws, and I would even say there's a few arguments for a lot of animal, like 90s creature feature movies. Another one, this one is a little more contentious, but I would say The Mummy, the Brendan Fraser Mummy movie, is, while it's a little contentious, I do think it is in that PG-13. It is violent, but it also has some humor to it, so I think you can get away with it. As well as Anaconda. I think Anaconda is... This is something I can attest to, because I saw Anaconda pretty young. And I think it's because it's a giant animal, and not like a guy wearing a mask brutally butchering people. The violence is a little more in check. It is probably going to make your kids have some phobias, whether it be by sharks or snakes or something. God help you if you give them arachnophobia, if you make them watch Arachnophobia, which I will actually say that Arachnophobia is definitely a movie that you can show your kids. I definitely think Arachnophobia is a movie you can show to your kids. It's probably going to make them afraid of spiders, though. If you show any animal movie, animal attack movie, it's definitely going to affect... It's definitely going to affect how they watch stuff. It's definitely going to affect, probably give them some kind of phobia. I don't know. Or not, who knows. And finally, for our final one, we are going to be talking about the Universal Monster movies. These are definitely movies you can show to your children. Which is funny, because these movies weren't for children back in the 30s. Isn't it strange how we've moved on in 100 years? But yeah. These set of movies are definitely films that you can show to your kids that have this right amount of violence, and I think they would have like a film appreciation for film too. And also, I think the best one out of all of them that could probably like get their entertainment, like gauge their proper entertainment for it, is Creature from the Black Lagoon. I think definitely of the ones, show Creature from the Black Lagoon to them first, because it's a big monster, you see him a lot, and there's like stuff going on at the same time. The other ones the kids might find boring, like The Mummy or whatever, but I would say show the Creature first, like show Creature from the Black Lagoon first, and then maybe Frankenstein next, or The Invisible Man. Definitely one of the ones that are a little more like have some to put it blunt, pun intended, bite to them. So there you go, guys. Those are my picks for horror movies for kids. I thought it'd be kind of fun to do a video like this as something special. Like something like it would be fun to do as like something for the season. Like do a video for the season. So you guys tell me in the comments below, what horror movies do you... Oh yeah, another one I'm going to throw in. I forgot to mention this one, and I can't believe I did. Monster Squad. Of course you gotta have Monster Squad in your list for horror movies for kids. I almost forgot Monster Squad. Shame on me. But yeah, you guys tell me in the comments below, are there any movies I missed? And what other horror movies would you say are good entry levels for horror movies for children? Just comment below, let me know. Other than that, I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.